Well, hey guys, welcome back to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and today I have a guest on the pod. She's actually one of my friends, a new friend over the last month or two, which is so, oh no, it was literally this month that we met. That's crazy.
Like, wait a minute.
But guys, this is Noella. Noella, say hey.
Hello.
Okay, well, before we get started and we talk about all the ways that we know each other now and how we met this month, tell us about yourself, introduce yourself, tell us all the things.
Right, all the things. My name is Noella. I was a wedding photographer for about, I don't know, 10 years or so. And it was the most amazing career ever. I still miss shooting so much. But as my kids, I have two little kids. Oh my gosh, they're not little anymore. I can't believe I still said that. My kids are now 18 and 16. But while I was a wedding, I haven't accepted it yet. Okay, guys? But as I was a wedding photographer and they started going to school, it was just a really tough career to have with little ones, right? Like they were coming in the door from school. I was rushing out the door to do engagement sessions or to shoot all day Saturday. Sundays, you're basically useless if you're a wedding photographer. You get it. I really needed to figure out a career pivot that allowed me to stay in the photography industry because I'm just wildly passionate about it, as you've gotten to know me now. And so I started doing marketing for photographers. I opened up a marketing agency. I did that forever. I still kind of do it. But it was amazing because it allowed me to get to know so many different photographers in the industry, get to know their business. I could work from home. I had my evenings free. And I absolutely adored it. And so I still do a lot of that marketing stuff. I've now pivoted more to coaching and strategy, but I've been in the photography world now for 23 years. Which I do the math. So cool. I'm old. that's kind of so cool. Yeah, that's the whole career, I guess, story of my life. Personally, I have two kids. I live on a little homestead in Canada. I have 17 chickens, a cat.
Wait, 17 chickens?
I know.
That's a lot. You said homestead and I imagined something, and then you said 17 chickens and I really expanded that imagination.
I have a problem with chickens. I collect them. So for anyone who's listening and who doesn't know anything about chickens, there's all sorts of fun different breeds, and each one has a different personality and each one is a different color and they're fun. And so I kind of started collecting chickens.
That is so fun. I have never heard anybody say that they collect chickens, but I'm so glad that this is the intro to our podcast right now.
If you guys, at the end, I'll tell you how to find me on Instagram, but if you follow me on Instagram with summer coming up, I will literally post stories of me walking out my door and yelling, "Ladies!" And they all just come flocking to me. It is literally the most.
I am so excited for summer now. And I've been excited for summer. Even now, I'm literally dressed for summer right now. It's 80 degrees outside and I'm yes.
So jealous.
I know, you in Canada. I'm sorry I even said something. But now I'm even more excited for summer because I get to see your chicken ladies calls. That's amazing. I love it.
I mean, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, today I want to chat about networking. You already know this, but I'm telling everybody else. Because guys, Noella is so good at networking. And even in her story, I feel like we can kind of hear that where she's like, I wanted to stay within our industry because I just love photographers. Yeah. And I do feel like you legitimately know every photographer ever somehow.
With being in your 40s, part of it, you're in the industry for 20 years. It's going to happen.
You've been around the block. You've been around the block. 100%. I love it. So, to kind of catch everybody up, the way that we met is interesting because you were visiting Charleston at the beginning of this month. I literally think it was the first week of March or something. Or maybe the last week of...
I think it was the last week of February. Oh my God.
Something like that. That's so crazy. So it's only been a month that I've known you, which is wild. But you were visiting for a conference and you messaged me because we were about to get to meet the next week in Las Vegas for WPPI when I was speaking. So super fun that you messaged me because then we just got to get tacos and hang out. But it was so funny because before we had tacos, I texted my big group chat of photographers and I was like, hey, does anybody know Noella? Blah, 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 about to grab tacos with her. And everyone was like, we love her. So loudly animated about their love for you. And then they started all talking about you and just how awesome you are. So I was like, wait, she knows all my friends. How is this all happening? So I was wondering, how did you actually begin to build that network? Because obviously, I'm sure that it happened within that pivot for you from photography to marketing and, all the things through coaching and stuff too. But How did you actually build that?
I mean, a big part of it was transitioning from photography to marketing, which I know not everyone here is going to open up an agency, but
Right.
um, I think as photographers, it's such a siloed career. Like we are
Mhm.
literally by ourselves all day. You know, you might be shooting your couples or your clients on the weekends, but for the most part, you're just kind of by yourself. And so, for me, transitioning to the agency model allowed me to all of a sudden open up this world of photographers. I mean, I was serving about 100 photographers at any given time, and so
Wow.
that definitely built a really solid foundation for me when it comes to kind of building the network that I've built.
Mm,
But and it I'm just very extroverted as well. Like I am not afraid of making a fool out of myself. And that
I
sounds
love it.
ridiculous, but like I'm okay walking to a room and being like, "Hey guys, I'm Noella," like I'm not afraid to draw that attention to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it, right? Like is the
Mm,
personality aspect and being a little bit extroverted. Um I
yeah.
also am like insanely just passionate about people. And so and I know you are too, but I think a big part of how I built my network was just being confident in
Yeah.
myself and what I have to say and who I am as a person. Does that make sense?
Totally. No, I think there's like so much of it that's wiring, and then there's so much of it that's intentional. Because if it was all wiring, then when you were a photographer, you also would have had this big network. But
Yeah.
there was intentionality with it when you pivoted, where you were like, okay, I know my natural gifting, I know my natural passion for people. Now I'm going to take it the next level and I'm going to really like drive it home.
Yeah.
So, where do you think some photographers who maybe do have like that natural ability or maybe don't at all, where do you feel like they go wrong with networking? Like, what is it that they're seeing wrong in it?
I mean, okay, really good question because I do see this all the time. And I even have a story that I can talk about. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of photographers go into networking. First of all, I think let's talk about marketing. So I think that marketing in general, a lot of people will clump networking as a marketing tool into, how do you get clients? Networking. How do you get clients? Instagram. But networking is always kind of clumped into that. And so I think
Yeah.
we are wired to go into or these networking events thinking of it as a marketing opportunity. And I think that's where everyone goes wrong. I think if you're going into a networking situation thinking, how can this serve me? How can this help me? It's not going to be effective.
It's really
So when
good.
I go into any networking situation or any group setting, I go into it with the mindset of how can I serve other people? How can I get to know them more? I rarely talk about myself actually.
Mm,
I will walk into it and I very intentionally trying to get to know everyone else and figure out how I can help them in their business, whether it's a sentence of marketing advice or maybe it's connecting with them later on or whatever it is. I think going into any situation thinking what can I get out of it. I mean, that's life lesson right there.
right.
It's going to fail. um, in fact, so the story is, I was at an event in Nashville at the beginning of the year, and there was a group of us, and there was a new person that we had never met came into the group, and we started talking to them, and all of us were curious. We all wanted to hear about this person's story, like who are you, what do you do, all the things. And she sat there for 45 minutes trying to sell herself and trying to sell the products. And
Mm,
we were like, we're all photographers here. What are you trying to sell to us?
yeah. Yeah.
And
But you
so
can sniff it out when that happens. Like, you can always tell.
you 100% can. It was as if someone told her, go to this networking event and try
Mm,
and get clients. And I mean, I think that's the biggest mistake you can make. Go in
yeah.
100% thinking, what can I do for other people?
Yeah.
I mean, it always pays off, right?
Yeah, that's really good. Well, my next question, I feel like you already answered it, so I'm going to skip over it. But I was like, I was going to ask you, like, what does good networking actually look like? But if there's anything you want to add to that, I mean, what you just said was amazing, though. I'm like taking mental notes as you're talking.
What does good networking look like? I mean, yeah, it's bang on. I think going in with like this servitude attitude, right? Of what can I
Yeah.
do for other people? Um, and being very intentional with getting to know them. The other thing that I'd say too is like even going in thinking like, how can I connect other people to each other? And so that's something that I very
Yes.
intentionally do. Like if you were to walk into an event with me and you don't know anyone, I am very intentionally making sure I build connections with you. and for
Yeah.
you, right? Like introducing you everywhere. I think that's a quality that a lot of people don't think about necessarily, but like remembering people's names and remembering to introduce people.
That's
It's
cool.
huge because when you
Yeah.
go into a room and you don't know anyone and you're just standing there awkwardly and no one's introducing you, I try really hard to make sure I'm always connecting people everywhere I go.
That's really cool too, because it shows that you're personally invested in that person. Like you care about if that person has someone to talk to, where it's like, it's not, how can this person serve me? And then you move on. It's like, okay, I'm going to have this conversation with them, get to know them a little bit, walk away. Oh, they're by themselves. Let me walk back and connect them to somebody before I leave.
Uh,
That's a really cool way, that just exactly what you said, like the servitude mindset of like coming in humbly and about other people. I love that. So when you're walking into something kind of like WPPI, say, because that's where we met, right? Or a conference or a retreat or anything like that, obviously you're being intentional about being about them and then introducing them to others. Is there anything else that you would say like you're intentional about with networking?
yeah, I'm very intentional with seeking out people who are by themselves.
Mm,
So not just connecting them, but like intentionally seeking out those people and,
cool.
and introducing them however I can. The other thing that I always do, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, because WPPI is I want to say notorious for this, but any of the bigger events is.
Yeah.
I think for me, when I go into an event, I'm very intentional and about not only hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
So at WPPI, for example, I didn't go to the Visco party, and everyone was like, "Where were you? Why didn't you go to the Visco party?" And my answer was, "Well, I was just with all those people."
Right.
And so when you go to these events, I try really hard to like break free from my group of besties because
Mm,
I'm already friends with them. They're all my besties already.
yeah.
I try and seek out opportunities where I can meet new people. And so instead of going to the Visco party, I went somewhere else where none of my friends were, but I
Mm,
knew that I was going to be able to meet a whole pile of new people. And
yeah.
that's really important to me. Like, I think when you go to, again, WPPI is like kind of a bit of a unique beast in that it feels
Agreed.
like a big reunion, right? With a bunch of our friends. It's like we get to see
Right.
everyone once a year. Um, but because I go to so many of these events, I see the same group of people over and over again. And I kind of make it my mission at every event to become friends with a new group of people.
That's cool. And I think for anybody listening to this that's coming to photo camp, that's actually a great tip too, because photo camp, like one of the things that I really try with, and we haven't talked about this a ton, Noella, but I try to make photo camp as affordable and accessible as possible. And that wasn't true for like the first couple of times that we did photo camp because it was more of a luxury experience. But now that we're at this summer camp and it's totally different, like they're in cabins and bunk beds and all that kind of stuff, like the goal is like it's affordable and accessible so that you can come every year, so that you can continue to grow, develop friendships. And because of that, we have returning campers every year now, right? Where like
Yeah.
they're coming back, they're reinvesting in those friendships, but having the intentionality of I'm going to hang out with one new person,
Yeah.
right? And maybe it's five new people at the end. Like that's great. But like even if it's like one new person a day, I'm going to get to know one new person, bring them into my circle. So it isn't this like exclusive hangout, or like anything like that. This is like, no, we're open to meeting new people and developing new friendships within our industry and just
Yeah.
within our creative friendships in
Yeah, you
general.
have
So
to
I love that.
expand your group. And the only way to expand how many people you know is by putting yourself in positions where you don't know people and you get
Yeah,
to know them. Um, I,
that's cool.
yeah, I try really hard to do it at every event. It's like my goal, like how many new people can I connect with?
That's really cool. So, when you're meeting that many new people, one of the things that I feel like I've seen falter from people, whether it's at photo camp or other retreats that I've gone to, like people will go to these like retreats and then they leave and never talk to those people again. And
Yeah.
I try really hard for that never to be the case for photo camp, but I'm sure that it happens, obviously, right?
Mhm.
But like, what is it that you're doing to follow up with somebody after the first time you're meeting them?
Well, I'm like oddly neurotic about this. So at like
I love it. Tell us everything.
at WPPI, for example, like, I mean, when there's all sorts of, there's like QR codes that you can put on your phone where you're like exchanging contact information and all that kind of thing.
Sure.
Actually, I think it was like John Taylor Sweet that pulled up this, like, I should ask him what app it was, but it had all of his stuff on it.
Cool.
But for me, I always try and either find them on Instagram afterwards or get their phone number. But as soon as I'm done at the end of the day, so like right before I go to sleep at WPPI, I will go in and I'll send every single person I met that day a message.
That's
And then
cool.
at the end of the event, I actually send videos. Like I will literally video myself and be like, hey, it was so nice connecting with you. Like, and I video it. The other thing I often do is I set up my calendar before I go to an event with a 15-minute availability spot, and just DM people and say, hey, like I really want to get to know you more. Here's a link to my calendar. Please book a 15-minute spot so we can hang out. I'm very
Cool.
neurotic about it, and I do it every single night at these events because if I wait till the end, my memory is like so bad, right? So
Yeah.
I try and do it at the event, and then it also kind of opens up more opportunities the next day. Like, or they might message me back right away and be like, hey, do you want to grab coffee in the morning? And so I think doing it at the event opens up opportunities, especially if it's a multi-day event.
Yeah.
But even more so, like even this doesn't necessarily fall under your question, but something else that I do when I go to these events is also connecting with them before the event. So WPPI has an example. I will go to the speaker list and I will send a DM to every single speaker before.
Well, honestly, like I'm living proof of this because literally, like I was speaking, you saw that, you saw I was in Charleston, you knew you were going to be in Charleston. Let's get tacos. Like immediately you tried to connect with me like before. That's really cool.
Well, and then when you're walking to an event, it's not so awkward. Like I'm now walking in and I don't have to watch Alex in the corner and be like, oh, I really want to say hi. Like we're already friends.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I love that. But one thing like I feel like would be a pushback, you and I are both I'm introverted actually, but but I am very outgoing, right?
Yeah.
And so I can talk to a brick wall. Like I recharge alone, but like I'm totally fine in public settings and can push through and all the things. But there's a lot of people that are listening to this that are like, okay, that's great for you guys, but like I'm shy or I'm introverted or that sounds like my nightmare, And so the pushback for that might be like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? So I feel like for that, like one thing, even just as you're talking, that I'm thinking of is like for that photographer who maybe feels like awkward in those larger settings, or maybe like they just don't belong, or they like and prefer to be the fly on the wall where you find them. Where do they start with networking?
I mean, online though, right? Like that's where it's so important to build the connections online because I mean, we're all, what's the word I'm looking for? Phone warrior? No, there's like a term for it where we all like being on our phones, but we all hide behind our phones. And so I think that's where it's really important to connect with people in advance on social media. I mean, I'm not
When
always,
you feel more comfortable, that is true.
yeah, and I'm not always the most comfortable person walking into a room and being like, "Hi, my name's Noella." However, if I've built those connections online, it almost is like kind of rude to not say hi in person, right? Like imagine you and I were talking for like a month straight on Instagram, and then all of a sudden I walked in and I ignored you.
I'd be like, okay.
But it makes it so much easier to start those conversations when you're doing it online. I mean, even small touch points like I'm going to follow Alex and I'm going to comment on your home and your clothing and compliment your outfit and like, oh my gosh, you had such a great hair day. And building those small little touch points, commenting on their photos, responding to their stories, it builds that relationship online. So now when I see Alex walk into a room, I'm 100% being like, oh my gosh, that shirt, I saw you wear it on Instagram the other day. It looks so good on you.
Yeah.
And it also creates a conversation starter for you.
Cool. That's really cool. And I think like, honestly, I saw an example of that. I have two examples of that. One is my friend Sue. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know Sue. I've had her on a couple of times and just a few, maybe like last month or something. But it's really cool. We met officially for the first time at the first photo camp, but we were social media friends before because she was so good at that. And Sue is pretty shy and she'd be the first person to say like, I hate talking, but like, but like on social media, she was so intentional with me and every post that I made, she commented on it and stuff. And so we became friends back and forth. And then like when she came to photo camp, I gave her the biggest hug. I was like, I feel like I already know you. And she's been at like every photo camp since. I don't think I'm lying saying that, but like it's so cool to see like our friendship. She stayed at my house for the last photo camp like a little bit before, and we got to like hang out, and it's not networking, it's just friendship, which I think is really cool. And then second example of that is Rachel Traxler. She's also been on the podcast, but she was at WPPI. And what I love about Rachel is she connected with me before, very similar to what you just said, Noella, where she like
the same thing for me. Good job, Rachel.
Oh, Rachel. I think she did it for a lot of people. And she was so sweet. Like when I got there, guys, she literally had a handwritten note for me a what would Jesus do bracelet and like a cute little
I gotta
keychain and just like so
that.
sweet. Like I'm like, what in the world? Like who does this, you know? And like it was a quiet way. Like Rachel's pretty extroverted too, but that was a quiet way of just saying, "Hey, I see you, I notice you, I want to be friends with you." And like when somebody receives that, of course I'm going to be like, I want to be best friends with Rachel now. Like I want to hang out with Rachel, you know, because it's so intentional. And so the other thing too is I don't think like we have to do everything like what you're saying, Noella, like go in and meet as many people as you can. Like that can be networking. And that's how you created a network so large. But like maybe if we're on the shyer side, we start with, I'm going to meet 2 people. And there's a guy named Josh who came, and I will butcher his last name, and so I'm not going to try. But he is awesome, and he actually came with Visco. Do you know who I'm talking about?
De Leroy or something like that. Yeah, I know exactly what you're
Something.
talking
I'm like, I
about.
don't know how to pronounce
Sorry.
it. But he was so great, and he messaged me before as well. And I grabbed coffee with him and his fiance, and it was awesome because I don't know how many people he did that with. I assume it's more than just me, but I got to have an hour of coffee with him and his fiance, truly get to know them, and that was like my favorite part about WPPI. And I'm like, dude, if I go next year, like 100% I'm going to be like messaging people like that and scheduling coffee dates with them, you know, like it was so awesome to just like sit down and slow down and get to know somebody in a more quiet environment.
Yeah.
So be intentional about how you're networking too, and you know what kind of boundaries you want to put on if you're shy. So I love that. What would you say to the person, because this is the other thing that I think maybe could be pushback on this, but what would you say to the person who thinks that networking just feels like fake, you know, or like it's just a way to get ahead?
I mean, it definitely can be depending on how you approach it, right? Like I said, with that example, like if you're going
Mhm.
into it thinking, what can I gain? You're going to gain nothing. And but you're also gonna, I think you're gonna build relationships based on the wrong foundation. I think that there is a lot of, I mean, our industry is complicated because it is true. There's a lot of people that want to get ahead,
Right.
and that are almost a little bit like fake and competitive sometimes. Um,
Which is so sad.
it really
So
is
sad.
because I mean, I've been doing this for so long now, and I truly see the benefit in collaborating and relationship building in the industry. And so I can see how people would say it's fake, especially when they're getting clip bits of it on social media and
Yeah.
they're only seeing, you know, the really cute photos being posted with a bunch of you know, educators and things like that. I can see it. I get it. And but I think that it's an opportunity for us to like really change the way that it is done and the way that it is thought about by being very intentional. And but again, it's like the servitude attitude, like find the
Mhm.
people and build true, meaningful connections out of it.
Yeah. Like
And
even if everyone else is fake around you, you don't be,
like, yeah,
you know?
exactly. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how it changes. And that's also, and it spreads. If, you know, if I'm going into this event and I'm like, how can I truly help you in your business? Like maybe someone needs a connection, maybe they need a referral, maybe they need like a piece of advice. I don't know what it is, but if I'm going into it, that's going to be noticed. It's going to spread. It's going to spread like
Mhm.
wildfire, right? I think once there's a few people going into it with that attitude, it's just going to snowball. I mean, even just now, like
Yeah.
you and I met, and now I'm on your podcast, and now we're talking about this, and all the listeners are
Yeah.
now going to go into the next event with the same attitude of servitude, and it's going to spread. And that's, I think,
Yeah.
how we change it, and the change
That's
happens
so
with
true.
us, right?
I
It really
love that.
does.
So why would you say, because I know obviously we talked a little bit about like when you pivoted your business from photography into obviously like now coaching and all the things, that's when networking became like mega important for you. Why would you say photographers just in the photography realm of things
Mhm.
should network? Like why is that important for us?
I mean, it's just connections. I mean, so, and like I said, like I've never gone into any conference trying to think like, how do I get clients? Never, not once. I mean, like truly, and it comes naturally. Like I think when I have deep, meaningful conversations with people, they hear the knowledge that I have, they hear the experience that I have, and that kind of naturally sells itself. But I never go into anything, you know, thinking that like, how am I going to gain out of an event?
Yeah.
But I think for the normal, just everyday shooting photographer, goodness gracious, photographers get referrals from other photographers, making connections. So, I know, to an example, there's two people we know, you and I know, I'm not going to name their names, but they met at an event, and now all of a sudden, like, one of them is being shipped around the world to go second shoot with the other one.
Yeah.
And so there's tons of referrals, connections, second shooter opportunities, even, after talking to, say, who would be a good example? Like, let's say I met Summer Grace as an example.
Mhm.
I'm a photographer. I'm talking to Summer Grace. Now, all of a sudden, I'm thinking of Summer Grace's program. And now, later on, in a month from now, I'm going to refer her, in the
Yeah.
program that she has. Like, I just think once you get to know someone, you hear the different opportunities that exist and they come naturally. It's not a selling thing. It's literally just building connections and getting to know
Yeah.
people. I mean, I also think too, networking does not need to come just from these events in the photography industry. For example, I
Totally.
used to run a flower shop. My networking opportunities came from networking locally within my
Yeah.
community.
That's
And
so
that's how
good.
I built my business. And so I think that's important to note that, like, networking could be being in your local community. It could be going to the open houses of the
Mhm.
clothing stores if you're a senior photographer, and getting to know people in the store, because now the store is going to think of you when the girl comes in saying, I need senior photos. Like, networking can
Yes.
can look like so many different things. And as a photographer, you're a senior photographer. It's how important is it for you to network with, like, clothing businesses and makeup and hair artists,
Right.
like, all, so I think,
Right.
as a photographer, maybe think outside the box when it comes to networking.
Yeah. I love that. I even think I may have shared this on the podcast before, but I even think about when Zach and I first moved to Charleston. I always say, like, my first friends was my chiropractor because I went like the day after I moved, and the people in our apartment complex, like the leasing
Ah,
agents.
love that.
And yeah, because I would go and, like, we had a nice little like clubhouse area, and that's where I would work, especially before like our Wi-Fi was set up and all the things. And so I would go and work there, and I like made relationships just very naturally with the leasing agents and with our manager and everything. Well, it turns out a couple months later, our manager gets promoted to be like a lead person at, the apartment complex, like management. And they need a photographer for the projects that she's overseeing for these new apartment complexes. And
Mhm.
she immediately thinks of me. And that was like some of my biggest clientele work that I had, was working with these apartment complexes for like 2 years. And it all came because I just knew someone,
Yeah.
and it was because I came into something where I'm like going to be a friend first.
Yeah.
And I happen to be a photographer. And I think that's such a natural way to network, where it's like, I'm human first, I'm developing friendships first. But when they need a photographer, who do they think of? And
Yeah.
you want to be on that list. So I definitely like love everything that you're saying, and just going into it, friendship first, servitude first, and all the things. So really, I had a couple other things, but I feel like we've chatted enough about all of this. Let's do this. Let's move on to just like a little takeaway, like a practical thing. Like, if somebody wants to get better at networking this month, like right now, what are 2 or 3 things that you would say they should start doing?
I'm going to go back to starting on online, right? So I think challenging yourself to connect with 3 people online every day. Every day, make a to-do list. Which 3 people am I going to connect with? It's something super easy, but man, can you think 3 new people every day, how your circle grows in a month? Like, that's 90 new people that you've just, right? That's math, yes.
I'm like, I don't know. I just took it as face value.
I'm a photographer for a reason, guys. But I think make it your challenge every single
Yeah.
day. Connect with 3 people. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be as simple as sending a DM, responding to a story, message someone new. Track it on your notepad on your phone if you have to.
Yeah.
But 3 people for sure. And I also think making the step to attend a conference, that's probably the scariest thing for a lot of people, right? Is like investing in one. WPPI is around the corner, guys. It's February 28th. You have almost a whole year to save up. Like, find a conference that you think connects really well with you, make the commitment to attend it, and start
Yeah.
thinking now about building those relationships. I mean, we have a year before the next WPPI.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, you could know all 10,000 people by the time the WPPI rolls around.
So true. I wasn't planning on announcing this, but do you want to hear something fun that I'm doing?
Sure do, please do.
Okay, so right now, guys, okay, I truly wasn't planning on this, so give me grace on the way this pitch comes out, but I am very excited about it, and I hope that you guys are too. So I have photo camp, and photo camp is coming up in May. It's May 21st through 23rd. I still have day passes available overnight. Sorry, you're sold out. But if you want to come to a day pass, you totally can. After that, starting June 1st, I'm going to launch photo camp cohorts. And they're online cohorts that are niche based. We'll have a couples group and a senior group. They'll be capped. So it's basically a small group where you're getting to meet monthly. You'll have little conversation topics depending on your niche and a challenge takeaway where you'll work on that for the next month and bring it back. And they're all led by, people within the industry that you're going to want to learn from. So I'm super excited about that because it's brand new. And I know yes, I love just this whole topic in general and networking, but it is going back to what we were saying, it's friendship first and it's helping each other. And you said this in the beginning, but photography can be so isolating sometimes. I have a friend that I basically taught photography and now she's killing it and is full-time photographer. But when she transitioned to full-time, I remember her texting me and saying, Alex, I didn't know how lonely this is going to be. You didn't warn me. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I should have, I don't know why I didn't. But it is.
I want to say, obviously there's other careers out there that are also super isolating, but I want to say it's one of the harder ones. It really is, and I think this is where it's fun to find things like what you're launching because you're building a community. You can reach out to someone and say, hey, do you want to just work together, co-work?
Yeah.
There's also, it's so important. Actually I read, I'm going to muck this data up big time, but I was reading a study recently that said that loneliness is now one of the biggest epidemics in the US, more so than cancer even. So more people are dying from loneliness than they're dying from anything else in the US.
Wow.
And, I think a big part of that obviously has to do with COVID. A lot of jobs were moved into remote positions and the world kind of figured out how to work remotely in general. But it's a shocking statistic to hear that, right? And to hear how communities like what you're building really helps to fix that problem in the industry. So
that's the goal.
That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. That is the goal where it's okay, we don't have to feel isolated. We don't have to feel alone. Let's do something about it. And maybe this is something that you can do. It'll be a small monthly payment, $35 a month, and you get an entire cohort. Yes, come join it.
$35. Sure.
Let's do it. Anyway, so if you guys are interested in that, you can't sign up for it yet, but there is a wait list that is live on the website that I literally did yesterday. So come join the waitlist party. Okay, Noella. Well, I'm going to let you go because we've been yapping for too long now and everyone's going to get tired of hearing our voices. But I love you so much. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Really quick, how can people find and follow you? Where can they connect with you?
Just Instagram is Noella Andres and Noella Andres. Same thing for my website. I hang out a lot on Instagram. So
me too.
Find me there.
I love it. Awesome. Well, everyone go follow Noella. She really is the best. And we have to hear all about her chicken stories. So everyone needs to go follow her. But anyway, I will see you guys next Thursday. Love you. Mwah. Bye.